All right. So before we start, we want to shout out Centennial, Colorado. You guys have been doing God's work watching these videos. So good. Anyways, what we're gonna talk about is how the Republican Party is trash. So, uh, you got like these elite Republican folks being really scared because Trump has like a lock on a 30% Republican base, and if they can't coalesce, then the Republican Party is basically screwed. In future elections, they can't really take both lanes at the same time. So this article says here from Business Insider that uh, the GOP was able to bounce back from the scandal that followed the 1970s Watergate scandal, but experts say that the problems it faces now are in some ways deeper. And I think it's pretty obvious what those ways are because, I mean, like Watergate was a political kind of thing, but it looked bad for the Republican Party as a whole. But when you fracture the Republican Party like this, yeah, it's definitely bad for their electoral prospects. So, Connor, now.
My turn. Let's share. All right. So, first order of business, let's keep talking about how the Republican Party is trash. So, pretty much Biden has done some executive stuff that has um kind of taken what am I trying to say here? Cut this out. Nah, please. What am I trying to say? Okay, so pretty much Biden has done some executive stuff to help combat climate change. So he rejoined the Paris Climate Accord. He's been revoking some permits for the Keystone Pipeline. And he's also done stuff that's directly affected Texas. So the Texas governor, being the big pro fossil fuel Republican that he is, has said, don't worry, everybody, we're going to sue the Biden administration because they're trying to do this atrocity of transitioning from fossil fuels to renewable energy sources that would save the world from climate change. So this is, this is just great. This is awesome. I really love this. And of course, Biden is a big dictator for doing all of these terrible executive orders. And now let's move on to how the Republicans aren't actually that bad in one instance, maybe. Led by our Senator Susan Collins.
Woo woo.
Her and 9 other Senate Republicans sent a letter to Mr. President Biden that said, Mr. Biden, President, sir, can we please meet? Because we don't like your COVID relief package. We want less billions, still billions, but less billions. So they have counter proposed a $160 billion spending for vaccines, testing, medical equipment. And instead of sending $2,000 or $1,400 to everybody, they want to send aid to families who need it the most. So only if you need it more than other people. So this is actually not that bad. What do you think, Non?
Um, I mean that wording is kind of weaselly. Whenever you try to means test some like that's always how they make it sound more appealing because people are like, yeah, we should definitely focus on people who need it the most. But guess what? When you do that, it turns out that no one gets it. Same thing with
True.
Medicare. They're like, oh, Medicare for all that want it. Well, then it turns out that no one's gonna get it because they're never gonna. So if you do universal programs, it tends to work out a lot better. And the stimulus checks weren't even universal in the first place. They were only for people making less than $75,000 a year, or 150 for couples. And that's like 80. That's what we said before. That was like 80% of the population, or maybe a little bit less. So if you try to means test even more, I don't think we're ever going to get anything. And what the Republicans are trying to do and what the Democrats are trying to do, I don't really know why they're trying to do this. They're trying to lump the stimulus payments into a $1.9 trillion bill, um, because they're like, oh, we need to do this, we need to do that, we need to do. I mean, some of it's good stuff like extending unemployment and eviction moratoriums and stuff, but I feel like maybe not for some of the Democrats that are more focused on populism and the people, but I think definitely for the Republicans and more corporate Democrats, they actually don't want to spend that, and they're just making it into such a huge bill so they can be like, "Oh, look what we're trying to do, but we can't do it." Blah blah blah. Blah. When they could just send a standalone stimulus check, and they're not doing
Mm-hmm.
that through budget reconciliation. So
True.
it's just a really shitty, weaselly way to play politics at the national level and such. So
Mm-hmm.
That's
Agree.
that.
Republicans, they're doing things.
They're doing things. I got one more thing about Biden for this video. So I can share my screen here. Yeah, so this is a quick article in the New York Times fact checking Biden in his first week in office. And basically you get the sense here of how Biden's going to be treated by the mainstream liberal media for the rest of his presidency. President Biden in his first week in office typically stuck to vetted scripts and verified facts, a departure from his predecessor's freewheeling and fact-free rhetorical style. Overall, Mr. Biden used his presidential podium to promote his policy priorities. That's alliteration, tongue twister right there. His remarks were aspirational, a light on empirical assertions. Of the 20 factual claims the New York Times analyzed from January 20th to January 26th, all but 3 were largely, if not completely, accurate. So here's the deal. What they're talking about here is just like minor critiques of Biden when he went after Trump about like some of the things like not starting a vaccine program, and just like stuff that doesn't really matter. Just like random things he said, and not not about his blatant lies on like stimulus checks and getting aid to people. So, New York Times doing their job as always with these really important fact checking articles. Anything else to say about anything we talked about, Connor?
Oh man, that sounds good.
Peace out, people.